Hello, I love your background. I know it's not a background, but it looks great.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife and I have like we have like 1,600 blue. We're like a big physical media people, so we just
Yes. Oh,
yes.
that's amazing.
I want to geek out with you because the mirror shots are mind blowing. And I was just talking
Thank
to Edgar a
you.
little bit about how that was done, but I wanted to get it from your perspective, specifically the first shot when she walks into Cafe de Paris, and then you guys have your
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
How those shots were achieved, and even the dancing, the spin shot blew my mind. I'm just wondering, like, how those shots were done when you two were together like that.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it because I would say that that's probably the thing I loved most about filming. I got so excited when Edgar said he wanted to do as much of it practically as
Yeah.
possible. So that first scene is achieved by we have a double set and we have a couple of double sets in the movie. The telephone booth is the other one. We all got very comfortable with each other very quickly. When you have to make out with people like 2 inches from each other's faces and pretend you're the same person, it's pretty bonding, I would
Yeah.
say. But yeah, that's achieved by a double set and a mirror that pulls away. So the first time you see Thomasin in the mirror, it's her. And then we had a lovely, we had twins on either side, the Weasley twins, which like made my heart die.
From the Harry Potter franchise,
Yeah.
apparently that, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Edgar
Yeah.
told me on the day and I was like, I'm so starstruck. This is amazing. But yeah, so Thomasin walks in. I'm mirroring her on the other side of the mirror. The mirror gets pulled away as the camera wipes Thomasin's shoulder, and then I'm there. And from that point on, it's all a series of beats. So
That's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that kind of thing.
Some of them were done separately, like the scene or the shot of Anya and I running up the stairs at the Cafe de Paris. Anya and Matt ran up them for a few takes, and then Matt and I ran up them for a few takes, and they stitched that in. But a lot of them were done live, like when Ellie first walks down the stairs into the Cafe de Paris, there was where the mirror was, there was like a hole in the wall, and I would walk up, Annie would be on one side and I'd be on the other side. We walked together, we imitated each other with the hand movements and the hair twist and everything. And then I can't remember exactly, but the camera panned or something, and they pulled a real mirror across and it turned into Anya. So it's kind of hard to explain quite how it happened.
wow.
But a lot of it was done live, even with like the even with all the like the dancing in the Cafe de
Yeah,
Paris.
how did you achieve that shot where you guys switch? Yeah, that was amazing.
That was done live. We
How?
actually choreographed that where we were actually switching in and out. So Anya and I, it looked like the behind the scenes was crazy, but we were like jumping up and down and ducking and running, and it was like it was quite stressful, but it was a lot of fun. There was one stitch though in that take when Matt twists Anya. Yeah, you know the one that's in the trailer. That was the one stitch, but otherwise it was all done live.
That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I can't believe they pulled the mirror in. That was so amazing. My wife and I watched the Queen's Gambit. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life. In terms of that character, she meant a lot to me. Watch her on screen. I'm wondering, now that you've left her, do you miss her? And what aspects of her stay with you? Does any of her stay with you? Because you play that character for a long time, in many hours.
It's so surreal because Beth is the character closest to me that I've ever played. So for the first time ever, I had to give her a lot of my mannerisms. And so there was a period of time, especially when the show first came out, where I felt very confused because that was now Beth. And I was like, but where do I fit into this now? But I'll miss her forever. She is forever a time capsule of a particular era in my life. And I gave her everything that I had from that, box that I've been filling up for 23 years. And that's her now. But yeah, I'll always miss her.
It's amazing. Last question I'll ask you is this: in the beginning of the film, Thomasin has a Breakfast at Tiffany's poster on her wall in her childhood room. I was just curious, growing up, what was on your wall? Did you have like movie posters, music posters? What did your room like have in it for movie stuff?
There was a lot of whales. I'm really into orcas, so there was a lot of orcas on my wall. And then when I got the crush bug, there was Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. He was definitely on the wall. for sure.
That's amazing. Well, that's when I say this has been an honor talking to you. I love talking to you about physical media and everything. I love that Edgar shot 35 millimeter on this, which is so cool. You got to work on film, which is amazing. That must have been so cool. So congratulations to you. And seriously, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And say hi to your wife from me. Tell her that she's got a great collection.
I will definitely do it. She'll love that. Thank you so much.
No worries, love. Bye.
Have a good day. Your character, at some points in the film, she puts her headphones on. It kind of keeps her out of the world a little bit. But if she's not feeling safe or secure, she's using them on the train to kind of just get used to everything. I was wondering, is there a particular song you will put on that calms you down or makes you feel safe that you would listen to like she does?
Yes. I have 3. I don't know if we've got enough time for that.
Please, I want to hear them.
The first one is "I'll Be Your Mirror" by the Velvet Underground. Because when I was younger, I was like, I really doubted myself, and my parents noticed that, and so they kind of picked this song for me to tell me that they were always going to be there for me.
Wow.
So I listen to that if I'm ever feeling down, because it reminds me of their love. Also, "Three Rounds in the Sound" by Blind Pilots. I listened to that song in the car driving to the Leave No Trace premiere at Sundance. It was me and my whole family listening to the song in the car, and so it was kind of like, it marks, I don't know, the beginning of everything for me.
Yeah.
And "Vienna" by Billy Joel. I just really, really, really love that song. So I've been listening to that a lot recently as well.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. They're wrapping me up. I just want to say congratulations on your amazing performance. You were also so phenomenal, obviously, in Jojo Rabbit and Old. I love the work you did with M. Night Shyamalan. It's so cool you get to work on 35, which is amazing. And congratulations to you, and I hope you're staying safe. And thank you for your time today, and good luck with everything you're doing in your career.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, Edgar, I've showed this to you before, but it's been a few years. I still have my Shaun of the Dead ticket, which I've kept since I was. And I still owe you a couple bucks though, because I did buy a child ticket then. So I apologize. I was a poor college student, so I apologize.
I hope you had a parent or guardian to get you in.
I was old enough. I just bought a child ticket because
and you were 17. Oh, you do owe me money.
I couldn't afford it. I owe you two. I'll send it to Greg Longstreet and he'll Venmo it to you. I want to geek out with you because I think what you've done here with mirrors is incredible. And I want to talk to you about just in terms of the shots you were doing. Well, I guess with the first shot when she walks into Café de Paris and you have that shot where they're there together. How often are they actually there together on screen? And how do you pull it off when you pull a mirror into the shot? How are you executing that?
Well, we worked really hard on coming up with some great kind of like mirror shots where really what you wanted to do is, as much as possible, have the actresses together.
Yeah.
So, because I think just for their performances, it was always going to be so much better if Anya and Thomasin are standing opposite each other. So what you're seeing is like real choreography, and basically, but then there's like clever tricks to fool the eye. So say that first shot when she walks down, I want to completely ruin the tricks of the trade and David Copperfield be mad at me, but so I'll give you a couple of elements that are in that shot and then you can figure it out at home.
Cool.
Within that first shot, you have initially you have a real mirror, and then at a certain point you have a sliding mirror that reveals Anya Taylor-Joy. And also, I'll tell you this one, this will blow your mind. The maitre d's in the Café de Paris, the maitre d' there's 2 of them played by identical twins. The Phelps twins, James, who played the Weasley twins in Harry Potter, no less. But they're essentially playing the same character on both sides of the mirror.
Okay, that's insane. I still think one of the greatest shots I've ever seen is the dance shot when Matt spins them, and that is just one of the. I was reading that they maybe jumped in and out of the dance together, and you would have to stitch that somehow. But it's so brilliant, kind of.
There are no stitches. It's basically one uninterrupted shot. There's one part where we did an extra pass to put Thomasin in, but then the shot is the same shot all the way through. There's no cuts in it.
Wow.
But then the latter part of it, where there's like 6 Texas switches in a row, is all real. So it's kind of just like a real shot, which is choreography, and not just choreography with the actors and the dancers, but also just the camera operator. Like it's like having kind of like an amazing camera operator who can be in the right place at the right time. So we rehearsed that scene a lot. And I think actually eventually on the Blu-ray extras and stuff, we put some of the rehearsals on there because they're pretty amazing to watch in their own right.
Yeah, I want to see them jumping in and out of the shot. It was so cool. I was noticing in Thomasin's room in the beginning of the film, she has a breakfast at Tiffany's poster on her wall. And I was just wondering, like, obviously, I feel like you grew up a big film fan. I've been following your movies for almost 20 years and since Spaced and everything. What did you have on your wall growing up? Did you have like what movie posters did you have on your wall? Or music posters did you have on your wall?
Well, one thing I'd say about the Breakfast at Tiffany's poster, actually, and the Sweet Charity poster in the opening scene, is there's a reason for those movies being featured, is because both of those movies have much darker content than the poster might lead you to believe. And I think a lot of people, probably younger people, put that Holly Golightly poster on their wall without maybe ever having seen the film or read the book. And then when they do see the film, thinking, you know, she's a kept woman, or like in Sweet Charity, she's a prostitute, you know, and it's something that sort of the idea, it's basically the premise of the whole movie within that, in terms of like the surface gloss versus the sort of the darker reality. And to answer your question, when I was about 16, I used to live in our house was like unfinished, so I lived in this undecorated room. Like my dad had always said, I'm going to get around to painting it, and never did. So I sort of was in a bedroom with unpainted walls. But I did have a poster. I had a massive Twin Peaks poster of Sherilyn Fenn above a black and white poster of Sherilyn Fenn as Audrey Horne above my bedroom, and above my bed. And then also, I think I had a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man poster. Also a massive poster of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Those are the three that I can remember, but definitely I think the Audrey Horne poster was the big one.
That's incredible. This is a question I've always wanted to ask a filmmaker, and this is something I'm just interested in knowing, because it doesn't take me out of the movie ever, and I even saw it in the trailer originally. Her headphones that she wears, they're specifically Beats headphones, and product placement is something that's been part of movies forever. It's not like this is not new. I just wonder, when you do something like that, one, is that product placement, and two, as a filmmaker, how does that come about? Do you write that she's wearing headphones in, and then that comes about with the studio? How does that conversation even start, if that's even a thing?
I think, to be honest, what it was that I didn't want to use Apple headphones because I just done Baby Driver. Can't have the Apple headphones. You know, Ansel was wearing them all the way through the last movie. So I think it was like we went to the next. Now, what's funny is I don't think maybe we got some free ones, but it wasn't product placement. But when the trailer came up, Dr. Dre then posted a on his Instagram. But it wasn't completely by design. We just kind of went to like sort of, you know, so I think it was more to distinguish it from the Baby Driver headphones.
That's cool. I was just curious. It didn't take me out of the movie at all. I just find those little details interesting in terms of when you watch a film. I know that when we talked for Baby Driver, you talked about directing on beat, essentially. And I was wondering, like, in terms of a scene you pull off, when do you use an actual song on set, or when do you use like the beat tones on set? How do you like, where's the difference for you? Or is it always just the tones or the beats that you're hitting? How does that work for you as a filmmaker?
It sort of depends. If it's something where like playing the whole song is useful for people like in a dance scene, then play the song. And then maybe it'll have like little click tracks within it. You know, so what we would do is we play the song, and if you're kind of trying to tell, you know, sort of cue the actor for a particular bit, you could put the clicks in the music as well. So they know like, oh, this is where I come in. So there's a lot of sequences in the movie. I mean, also the thing was, you know, and not dissimilar to Baby Driver, I had a choreographer work the whole way through the movie, Jennifer White, because, and hopefully you've seen the movie, but I'm sure you can understand where this comes in, but like, it's not just the dance sequences. It's also just about movement itself, because it's sort of by design, the whole film starts to feel a bit like a dream. And there are lots of elements where people are kind of walking on beat, but then also getting into some of the horror stuff. There's some of the movement choreography, which is also kind of like happening kind of in if not in time with music, it's kind of like sort of it's a choreographed sequence. So something that I kind of really wanted to do is I sort of wanted to take some of the choreography that I'd done in my previous films and apply it to a completely different genre.
Yeah. The last question I'll ask you is this, and this is, I'm going to stay away from any spoilers. This is completely vague. I'm just curious about the decision as a director. The ending credits, you flash these awesome images very quickly onto the screen, like of streets. I was just curious, like, if you could speak about the intention of that. If it's spoiler, I can hold it. But I'm just curious.
It's not a spoiler at all. So what happened is that those shots, they're not stills, they're actual shots that we you know, shot on film. But basically that is lockdown Soho. So in like sort of in the middle of like I live quite close to some of the locations. That's something I won't give away exactly where I live. I will spoil it. But I live very close, and I walked around Soho during lockdown, and it was incredibly spooky because, you know, it's like the busy heart of the nightlife of London, and it was completely deserted, and it was very humbling and a bit sad and spooky. And I just said to my producers, we have to get this on film. So we went out one night just before things started to reopen.
Oh,
and
wow.
got like a whole night shoot where we just walked around with a camera and took different kind of shots without a car on the street, without a single pedestrian. And so I thought, as almost like as an epitaph for the movie, as a sort of little bittersweet coda, is to kind of show all of those like streets and alleys, and not just like the sort of the tiniest kind of alleys in Soho, which are sort of memorable in their own right, to like Piccadilly Circus empty or Shaftesbury Avenue empty. So it's like a shoot that, I mean, I'll never forget shooting that night. It was very sort of magical and surreal.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you. They're wrapping me up. Thank you so much for your time as always. Thanks for shooting on 35 millimeter. Your DP here is incredible. I go back to Old Boy and just looking at that tracking shot and looking kind of what he's doing with your work here. It's just incredible. Congratulations to you on everything you do. And thanks for telling great stories as always, sir.
And you know what? Since you said so nice, you don't owe me any money.
Okay, cool. I don't owe you the extra $2. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much, Edgar. It was good talking to you, and give Greg Longstreet my best. He's amazing. So
He's right there.
Yeah. Hey, Greg. Love you, buddy.